Imagine the ultimate dream, becoming a massive pop star. Millions of adoring fans, your name in lights, everything you could wish for.
Yeah, the classic dream.
But what if you made that decision for yourself at only, 6 years old? And then what if that very dream morphed into a decade-long battle just to be allowed to release music?
That's the astonishing story of Joanna Levesque, known to the world simply as JoJo. I mean, from the sources you've shared with us, her journey is far more than just a pop star's rise.
Right.
She was, catapulted onto TV screens before she even hit double digits, dazzling adults with those incredible deep pipes and pint-sized stature.
Unbelievable voice.
Totally. She signed a record deal before she was a teenager, and by 13, she had scored a #1 hit single, becoming the youngest person in recorded history to do so.
Just 13. She was soaring higher than any 13-year-old before her. But like you just touched on, at what cost?
Exactly.
Because after that acclaimed debut, JoJo would face what became a decade-long struggle with her record label, actively preventing her from releasing new music.
Yeah.
Imagine, you, our listener, putting hundreds of your creative works into the world, only to have them shelved, never seen the light of day.
It's a truly wild journey, and honestly, a critical case study in artist resilience and, industry control. Our mission today is to venture from the early 2000s pop scene where JoJo was discovered all the way through the intricacies of her highly public legal battle, a fight that many in the industry still call the ultimate pop music smackdown.
It really shook things up. So this deep dive is for you, our listener, to understand not just what happened, but why it matters so much for artists and the music industry at large. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So JoJo, born December 20th, 1990, came from a musical family. Her mom, Diana, sang in the church choir, and her dad, Joel, was a hobby blues singer.
Right, so music was in her blood.
Totally. It really was no surprise then that at just 2 years old, little JoJo was already belting out the Barney theme song, fully committed to her star destiny.
Yeah. And what's fascinating here is how her undeniable early motivation, that clear drive to be a star, was paired with immense family support despite some significant hardship. When her parents divorced when she was 4, Diana became a single mother facing, financial difficulty. But she was incredible.
Really sounds like it.
Cleaning houses, scraping up money for bus rides from Boston to New York, just to ensure JoJo had every opportunity for auditions. That support sounds like her superpower, really.
Definitely. And those opportunities came quickly. Her first real big break was on Kids Say the Darndest Things at age 6.
I remember that.
And they loved her so much they brought her back the next year.
Yep.
From there, it was like a steady stream of TV gigs like The Rosie O'Donnell Show and Destination Stardom.
But what she did next, this really showcases her incredible determination, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
At just 10 years old, JoJo called into radio stations to win tickets to a Summer Jam concert. Not to see her idols perform, but with a plan to sing for Britney Spears, who was about, 17 or 18 at the time?
Can you imagine the audacity? I mean, she actually sang her way through security guards.
Yeah.
Who must have been totally stunned.
Right.
Until she reached Britney. And very impressed, Larry Rudolph, Britney's then manager, offered JoJo a production deal right there.
Wow. But her mom, Diana, was cautious and, wisely decided to decline, advising they revisit the idea when JoJo was at least 12.
Smart move.
A very protective move, I think, considering the well-known pressures of the industry on young artists. Diana recognized that even a seemingly good opportunity needed to align with JoJo's readiness, prioritizing her development over immediate fame. So as JoJo approached her 12th birthday, she was ready. She and Diana packed up and moved from Boston to Los Angeles.
Big.
Huge. And JoJo came prepared with a self-titled demo tape, Joanna Levesque, featuring 7 R&B covers like Superstition and Chain of Fools. She hit the ground running, passing out her tapes, going to auditions for both singing and acting.
And she even scored a role on Nickelodeon's Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide as Lisa Zemo.
Oh, yeah, I remember that character.
Filming that concurrently with another talent show, she was truly relentless in pursuing her dream.
Absolutely. She appeared on America's Most Talented Kid, making it to the top of her age division, but ultimately losing to a violinist.
Oh, wow.
And JoJo was apparently devastated, truly thinking her singing career was over right there.
But that loss turned out to be the crucial turning point, right? A classic door-closing, window-opening scenario.
Exactly. Just moments after her devastation, an industry manager named James Wack, who happened to be in the audience, immediately recognized her star power.
Incredible timing.
He approached them after the show, offering to take them under his wing, which must have felt like, a lifeline after that disappointment.
I bet.
And that's how they made the key connection to Vincent Herbert, who would become the executive producer of her first 2 albums and was really instrumental in bringing her to Blackground Records.
Okay, so this is the big moment. At just 12 years old, in 2003, JoJo signed a 7-album record deal with Blackground Records.
12 years old. 7 albums.
Yeah. Now, Blackground was a small label founded by Barry Hankerson, who was Aaliyah's uncle and managed artists like R. Kelly and Toni Braxton.
Right. And what's crucial here is that despite its small size, Barry's industry connections allowed him to secure distribution deals with major labels like Jive, Atlantic, Virgin, and Universal.
So they had reach.
They did, and Diana felt comfortable with the small, family-like label vibe, which, is often appealing to parents of young artists.
That makes sense.
They didn't see the 7-album deal as this huge, scary commitment, figuring JoJo could release an album every 1 to 2 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. And they even had verbal assurances of an easy exit if things didn't work out.
The verbal assurances.
Exactly. Yeah. Their lawyer even reviewed the contract and gave it a positive review, apparently saying JoJo would be protected.
Okay, so on paper, it sounded like a dream start. A protective mother, a family-like label, lawyer giving it the green light.
Mm-hmm. The label moved them to New Jersey, where child labor laws were easier to navigate.
Interesting detail.
Yeah. They got her mom a car, and they had an apartment where JoJo finally had her own room. She said they felt like family.
That initial honeymoon phase.
Right. Vincent Herbert, in particular, had this deep belief in her, and she says it changed my life, helping to crystallize who JoJo was and who JoJo is. He even coined the name JoJo for her.
Wow.
Her mom, Diana, became her manager and even enrolled JoJo in public school to keep college an option.
Good thinking.
With JoJo balancing school by day and the recording studio by night for about 8 months.
That's intense for a 12, 13-year-old.
Totally.
Yeah.
It truly paints a picture of a dedicated, supportive environment in those early days, which is often so crucial for a young artist's development.
Okay, so she's working hard, balancing school and studio, and one of the songs she records is Leave, Get Out. Now, the label felt this was the perfect debut single.
The smash hit.
Right. But JoJo actually hated the song initially.
Really? Why?
Thinking it was way too pop for her R&B style.
Okay. But the production team was convinced, right? They put the single on a CD labeled Only JoJo, no picture, no age.
Clever marketing.
Yeah, sent it to radio stations. There were jokes about whether it was like Casey and JoJo, but there was a genuine positive response. Then, when they discovered she was a 13-year-old white girl, it was a shock.
Cool shock, yeah.
The age, given the mature lyrics. This marketing strategy created an instant mystique, allowing the music to speak first.
And despite her initial reservations, Leave, Get Out was officially released on February 24th, 2004, and it just exploded.
Big time.
Became a worldwide commercial success, making JoJo the youngest female solo artist to have a #1 single in the United States. By June 2004, her self-titled debut album JoJo was released, peaked at #4 on the Billboard charts, and went certified platinum overnight.
Just like that. Her life completely changed, catapulted into this unprecedented amount of stardom for a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Every day was photo shoots, TV appearances, radio interviews, performances from U.S. malls to the Teen Choice Award, even opening for Usher's tour. The success was undeniable, but so were the challenges inherent in such rapid fame at a young age.
And with all that success came the public scrutiny, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
People questioned if the music video for Leave was too adult, if lyrics about love and breakups were even appropriate for a 13-year-old.
Mm-hmm, the usual concern.
And there were worries about the music industry's marketing machine, potentially, over-sexualizing her. JoJo herself has said that she tried to appear older.
Yeah, I read that.
From lying about her age to wearing chicken cutlets to appear curvier in her music video.
Wow. She constantly felt she had to prove herself as a young artist, insisting she had something to say and could write.
Yeah.
She offered a very relatable perspective, saying, "We go through things that older people go through, just on a slightly smaller scale."
Good point.
She was very aware that she was being marketed as America's next pop princess and understood the industry loved her because she would make them a lot of money. This really highlights that fundamental tension for child stars, doesn't it? The pressure to grow up fast for marketability versus the reality of their youth.
Absolutely. And she truly was just getting started. The next 2 years were a whirlwind. After promoting her first album, she flew to Australia to film Aquamarine with Emma Roberts and Sarah Paxton.
Right, the movie roles started coming.
While wrapping that up, she auditioned for RV, scoring a leading role alongside Robin Williams.
Wow, Robin Williams.
Yeah. She was even offered the role of Hannah in Hannah Montana, but declined, saying she didn't really see herself playing a high school pop star.
Interesting choice. So here's where we start to see the first cracks in the label relationship, right? While working on her second album.
Yeah, things started to get a little strange. Crucially, JoJo did not sign a 360 deal.
which was becoming more popular then because record sales were declining. And a 360 deal, just to remind everyone, is where labels get a percentage of all income tours, merch, acting, everything.
Right. And the label was visibly unhappy about her movie earning, even though they weren't part of the original deal.
So they were overstepping.
Apparently, they even sent men to intimidate her film and television agent.
Whoa, that's serious.
Yeah. JoJo and her mom also started hearing rumors from other artists signed to Blackground that the label was a, quote, sinking ship.
Mm-hmm.
And an employee even urged them to leave, which led to very tense relations between Diana and the label executive. The initial family-like vibe was clearly eroding fast.
That raised an important question for JoJo about her career and her personal life, I imagine.
Definitely. She ended up making the incredibly difficult decision to fire her mom.
That must have been hard.
She stated that Diana outwardly hated the industry, and the relationship had become very, very unhealthy for her mom. JoJo just wanted to just work and release music, calling it the hardest thing of my entire life.
That's intense, but it reveals her singular focus on her music, even at great personal cost.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's an unimaginable choice for a teenager. But despite the growing tensions, her second album, The High Road, was released on October 17th, 2006, and it was yet again another commercial success.
Yeah, Too Little Too Late was huge.
Huge. It broke records, jumping from 66 to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. At 15, JoJo was cemented as one of the biggest pop stars of the early 2000s, but in her eyes, this was just the beginning.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you can already see the immense pressures on young artists, right? Not just performance, but image control over their careers. And that traditional record deal, without the 360 component, it clearly didn't protect them from label interference in other areas of their income, even when those areas were essential to their brand. The lack of that 360 deal, which should have been a benefit, ironically became a point of contention for Blackground.
So the very thing that should have protected her independence became a problem for them.
Oh.
And as if the internal pressures on JoJo weren't enough, the very foundation of her record label was about to crack, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Right before she could start working on her third album, Vincent Herbert, that producer who believed in her so fiercely, abruptly left Blackground Records.
Oh, wow.
That's when JoJo knew something was very wrong. The rumors of Blackground being a sinking ship weren't just rumors anymore.
And those rumors were backed up by other stuff happening, right?
Absolutely. Around the same time, Toni Braxton, another artist managed by Barry Hankerson, launched a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Blackground, alleging fraud, deception, and double dealing.
That's heavy stuff.
That lawsuit was settled, with Braxton released from Blackground but having to pay back a $375,000 advance. This was a really clear sign of Blackground's downfall and kind of the start of a string of lawsuits that would put JoJo's career on hold for, well, an entire decade.
Unbelievable. Despite the chaos, though, JoJo tried to stay focused. She started working with new producers like Denga and was very involved in co-writing songs for her third album, which was then titled All I Want Is Everything.
Trying to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, she even started doing interviews in the summer of 2008 promoting the album, expressing her excitement for creative freedom and showing a new side to me.
But the end of summer 2008 came and no single had been released.
Nothing.
By 2009, still no new music from JoJo. The public just assumed she was on hiatus, you know. But that couldn't have been further from the truth. She was about to enter what we call musical limbo.
And this next turn is truly devastating, isn't it?
It really is.
JoJo didn't understand the lack of follow-through from her label. I mean, she'd been so successful. Why weren't they releasing her album? She even started to think it was about her appearance.
Oh, no.
Label executives had the audacity to tell her she needed to look, quote, healthy, which in industry terms...
She didn't lose weight, yeah.
Exact. She was put on a 500-calorie-a-day diet and given injections to reduce her appetite.
That is horrific. You can just imagine the immense internal struggle. JoJo thought, maybe I'm just so disgusting that no one wants to see me in a video.
Awful.
This wasn't just about weight. It was a deeply manipulative tactic using an artist's self-perception against them. And she's spoken about this as a widespread issue, saying it's something probably every woman in this industry deals with regarding image and weight. It's such a stark reminder of the dark side of artist development.
But the true logistical reason for the halt was even more infuriating, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't even really about her in that sense. Blackground Records had lost their distribution deal with Universal and later Interscope.
So they literally had no way to distribute her music.
Exactly. Yet they were not letting her out of her contract.
Wow.
That's the essence of musical limbo. When an artist is legally bound to a label but essentially shelved, unable to create or profit, sometimes for years. It's like career purgatory.
So In August of 2009, she decided to take matters into her own hands and sued Family Entertainment, which was a Blackground subsidiary.
Right. Suing a subsidiary can be a strategic legal move, sometimes to isolate financial responsibility or navigate specific corporate structures. She was targeting the web of Blackground's control.
And the lawsuits sought at least $500,000 in damages for being shoved into a musical limbo.
And what's interesting is Timbaland also filed a suit against Blackground around the same time. Things were definitely falling apart over there.
But when attorneys looked at the Blackground contract she signed when she was 12, they basically said it was ironclad and advised her to start thinking about Plan B. A truly dispiriting message after all that effort.
Yeah. So when Blackground managed to secure a new, albeit temporary, distribution deal with Interscope, JoJo decided her only option was to give them another shot.
Really?
After all that.
What choice did she have, right? She went back into the studio, recording even more songs, largely not label-funded, but with producers who were passionate about her and her project.
Wow.
Her hope for a 2010 release, however, was quickly squashed. It just shows her unyielding dedication to her craft, even when facing such resistance.
But JoJo wasn't one to just sit back, right? She had been working on a mixtape called Can't Take That Away From Me.
Great title.
And the title itself was basically an FU to the label, letting them know that on paper, they might own her voice, but she was still going to find a way to connect with her fans and share her music.
Yeah.
The 11-track mixtape was released online for free in September 2010.
Which was a brilliant loophole, really. By releasing it online for free, producers forewent payment, allowing JoJo to bypass the label's control because it wasn't a profit-generating release.
It allowed her to connect with fans after 5 years without new music, despite having literally hundreds of songs recorded for various versions of her third album, which was now titled Jumping Train. It was a powerful act of defiance and connection.
In summer 2011, a single called Disaster was released to promote Jumping Train, but there was still no release date for the album.
Still waiting?
She declared she wouldn't stop until there was one, really showcasing her unwavering commitment.
But Blackground Records, pretty unsurprisingly, ended up losing their distribution deal with Interscope.
Oh, man.
There was no hope of finding another distributor, as they had apparently burned bridges with every major distributor in the industry. By 2012, there were hardly even a functioning label, and the Jumping Trains album was officially scrapped.
Hundreds of songs, years of work, visuals, music videos, all shelved, never to see the light of day.
Devastating.
And you'd think, after 6 years of this professional purgatory, they would finally set her free. But no, they were ready to fight to keep her tied down.
It's unbelievable. This period truly underscores the destructive nature of musical limbo. It shows how powerful industry players can stifle artists' careers without even releasing their work, essentially holding their creative output hostage. And it's a prime example of the dark side of artist development, particularly the immense pressure on image and weight, revealing a truly exploitive dynamic that can break an artist's spirit.
So, after 6 years of this nightmare, JoJo had no choice but to lawyer up again. Luckily, her new attorneys found a crucial breakthrough.
What was it?
New York law prohibits minors from signing contracts that last longer than 7 years, which meant JoJo's contract with Blackground should have expired in 2011, 3 years prior.
Wow, that's huge.
So she sued Blackground and its subsidiaries again, asserting the contract was illegal and citing unpaid producers.
Okay, now she had some real leverage, but Blackground's litigation strategy, or rather Barry Hankerson's team, was aggressive.
Yeah. Attorney Kelly Hooper described it as using every available means to crush you into powder.
Good grief.
Contesting every filing, pushing for jurisdiction changes to delay the entire process. JoJo herself felt they were trying to drain her dry of every penny until she gave up.
Just a war of attrition then.
Totally. But they severely underestimated her resilience. JoJo's resolve was unwavering. On her 22nd birthday, December 20th, 2012, she released a second free mixtape online titled Agape.
Still finding ways to reach her fans. And remember, since she didn't have that 360 deal,
Right.
Blackground couldn't touch her touring revenue. So she embarked on the Agape tour, a small tour, but she used the money made from it to help fund her loss.
That's incredible. Using her own performance money to fight for her freedom.
It truly demonstrated her commitment, prioritizing her artistic freedom over immediate financial gain, even if it meant losing every dollar.
And the power of her fandom throughout all of this was absolutely inspiring, wasn't it?
Oh, amazing. A passionate fan base rallied behind her, igniting the #FreeJojo movement.
I remember seeing that everywhere.
Fans acted as her street team for free, making their own merchandise, spreading the word, informing those who thought JoJo died or had just disappeared.
Because it had been so long.
Exactly. And the media attention shifted significantly, too. Her 2009 lawsuit went largely unnoticed, but this time around, major media outlets were picking up the story of JoJo's 7-year battle. This, coupled with intense public pressure from her fans on social media, created a real groundswell. It demonstrates the growing power of online communities to amplify artists' voices and hold labels accountable.
Definitely. And Blackground Records, which by 2013 was an entirely non-functioning label, wasn't just being sued by JoJo, right?
No, they were also being sued by producer Jeffrey Walker, who had worked with Aaliyah for unpaid royalty check. Their bridges were truly burning on all sides.
So the pressure was mounting.
All of this pressure finally led to a breakthrough. In December 2013, after almost an entire decade-long fight, Blackground finally agreed to release JoJo from her contract. Her reflection on it is incredibly honest.
Yeah.
She called it an illogical, nonsensical battle, and it was the most money I've ever spent on anything, with no settlement. She literally just fought to get out of her contract so she could sign another one.
Just fought for her freedom.
Yeah.
Wow. So what does this all mean for other artists?
Well, the significance of that 7-year rule for minors in contracts is immense, for one.
Yep.
It also shows the financial and emotional toll these protracted legal battles can take on artists, how truly resilient you have to be to endure them, and also how the evolving power of fan movements can actually hold powerful labels accountable, becoming a force that can't be ignored.
So after almost a decade, JoJo was finally free, and she wasted no time, did she?
Not at all. Literally the day she was freed, she met Aaron Bayshuk, Senior Vice President of A&R, that's Artists and Repertoire, basically talent scouts and developers, at Atlantic Records. He really believed in JoJo and wanted her to have control over her career. She signed with Atlantic and got right back into the studio, doing what she loved.
A fresh start, but the setbacks just kept coming, unbelievably.
It's heartbreaking. Less than a year later, in November 2014, Aaron Bayshuk left Atlantic for Interscope, leaving JoJo without her key champion at the label.
Oh, come on.
The executives who remained didn't agree with this vision for her comeback and simply scrapped the album. Again. It was another devastating blow, especially after fighting so hard for her freedom.
It was absolutely crushing. I mean, at 24, she had been trying to release her third album since she was a teenager, had probably recorded, 10 albums worth of music?
Easily.
And it was being shelved again. She eventually agreed to release a song she completely disagreed with the message of, stating she had no fight left in me.
You can understand why. It's almost impossible to truly grasp the psychological toll of that. Here's a young woman, already a star, and her dream is being actively undermined by the very people who should be supporting her.
Yeah.
Despite that blow, though, JoJo made her official return in August 2015 by releasing what she coined a tringle, dropping 3 singles at once.
A tringle, I like it.
Yeah. 3 months later, in November, she embarked on the I Am JoJo World Tour, a clear statement that she was back on her own.
And then right at the start of that tour, tragedy struck her personal life.
Yeah, her father passed away due to his struggle with addiction and an
So incredibly sad. But here's where her strength truly shines, right?
Absolutely. She had a show in Milwaukee the day after his pass, and she stuck to her commitment, and she performed, finding power and support in her fans.
Unbelievable strength.
She had previously considered tough love, but decided to just love him, and was really glad. It speaks volumes about her incredible fortitude and dedication to her art, even through immense.
It really does. After relentless touring to show the world she was officially back, JoJo's long-awaited third studio album, Mad Love, was finally released in October 2016.
Finally, and it debuted at number 6 on the Billboard charts. Critics praised JoJo on the development of her voice over the last decade. This wasn't just a comeback, it was reaffirmation of her art journey.
But her ultimate goal was ownership, right? Ownership of her career in music.
Exactly. In 2017, she left Atlantic Records to team up with her former A&R rep, Aaron Bayshuk, to create Clover Music.
Her own venture.
Yes. And her groundbreaking first move under her very own label was to re-record and release her first 2 hit albums, which were unavailable on streaming services because of Blackground.
Oh, that's why you couldn't find them.
Right. They hit streaming platforms in 2018. This was a monumental act of reclaiming her catalog, a direct message to the industry about artist rights.
Taking back control.
A pivotal moment, not just for her, but for artist rights everywhere. She then announced the leaks covers, and mixtapes tour, where she celebrated being able to sing songs that I thought I would never get to sing live.
Celebrating the whole journey.
Yeah. She explicitly told fans that if they came to hear Leave, Get Out, or Too Little Too Late, This Is Not Your Tour, thanking those who kept me going and encouraged me on social media when I was in a contract that I couldn't get out of. It was such a powerful acknowledgement of her journey and her...
What a moment for her and those fans. And finally, her 2020 album, Good to Know, was recorded under her own label, making it especially significant.
For the first time since she was 13 years old, she had total creative control.
Amazing.
She frames her journey as a journey of learning how to love myself, feeling lucky and grateful for the longevity and resilience she has, working on it every day to create a life for myself and a legacy.
Wow. What a story. JoJo's extraordinary journey takes her from child prodigy with that pop star dream through a decade of intense professional and personal battles to finally achieving full ownership of her music and her career.
It's quite something.
This deep dive has offered so many insights. The unseen struggles behind the fame, the complexities of artist contracts, the sheer resilience required to navigate a challenging industry, and the undeniable power of a dedicated fan base.
Absolutely. JoJo's story is such a powerful testament to finding and fighting for your voice. It really compels us to ask, what does it truly take to own your story and your art in a world that constantly tries to define and control?